Piston Fanatic. I am your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Well, Piston fans and my listeners, I love you, and I'm so grateful. We've gone over 1,000 subscribers. The most recent episode has nearly, last I checked, almost 4,000 views. And it's the fastest growing Piston podcast there is. And so it's all thanks to you. Please subscribe. I still need more subscribers if you haven't already, but I just appreciate every one of you. Well, we're here to talk about the Pistons, another loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, and the return of Bojan Bogdanovic, which is obviously going to help us in a lot of ways. But the losing streak is still at 17, is up to 17 now, and that is tough, but there's just some signs of spark. But the overriding thing is, holy smokes, what is going on with the roller coaster rotations that we're going to have, and what's going to happen next? It's just, the rotation just changes and changes. Some guys start, and they don't start, and they play a lot, and they don't play a lot, and then you add Bogey to the mix. And do we try to develop our young players, especially the core four that I talk about all the time, or do we not try to do them? Or are we just trying to win a game? And I just do think it's important to win a game. And if Monty thinks that we can't play young guys enough as much to win a game, then maybe that's the thing. But we're 2-18, and we're not going anywhere. But I still feel strongly that we need to develop those guys. But Wednesday we're playing the Grizzlies, so we got a bunch of days off. The guys are going to, I think, we got Bojan back, and we're going to have some days of practice, and hopefully Monty said he's going to watch some film to see about the three-guard lineup. So they started tonight. Ivey was benched. I mean, he played like 12 minutes one game, and he started. He didn't start most of the year, and all of a sudden he starts, and then he plays really good, and all of a sudden he doesn't start, and then he doesn't get to play, and then now he starts. And Ausar has been fabulous and had a great rookie year, not shooting threes, but everything else. But he takes a small number of threes. But still, there is the concern about floor spacing. But anyway, it's got to be confusing if you are a young player and you don't know you're starting, and then you're not starting, and you're playing a lot and you're not playing a lot, and then it's got to be hard on those young guys. So, but we'll see what happens. But it's good that Bogey finally spoke out. That he said that his strained calf happened just before camp. So I had heard that he had been working out back at home in Europe, and so he said he'd get up and work out in the morning, and then he'd visit with friends and family and do things and stuff. But he was working out. It was the first year that he didn't play with his overseas team, and so that was different for him. But now we do find out that he injured it. So he was working out, but just before he came to camp is when he injured it. So that was back at his homeland. And so, and then he was about to come back, and then he had another setback, and then he had another setback, and it pushed him back a week or two. But he said that, he had a calf strain when he was in Utah, and so they're being extra cautious. He thinks he could have probably come back a while ago, but he didn't. So anyway, it was so fun to see him out on the court and to see what he can do. And it's still only the beginning of seeing that. And so I might sound hypocritical when I say how much I want him to play, because he makes a difference for the guy. But at the same time, I want our core four to play and develop. And so that makes it challenging. And before the season started, I said, Monty has a nightmare. I said, there's no way is he going to be able to play all these guys. And he can't. I mean, there's just not minutes for everybody, but we're going to get into that and discuss a lot of that. Tonight's game, though, we were ahead. We came out, we were down by 6 at halftime, came back in the third quarter and just took over. We were up by about 10. Bojan feels bad because he missed a 3 that could have put us up by more. And then they came down and hit a 3, and then all of a sudden, the last 2 minutes or so of the third quarter really is what did us in. But I was going to talk a little bit. I know a lot of people, there's some of you and some of my good listeners are, think Cade's a bust, and he hasn't shown that he's consistently a good shooter. His percentages has not been that good, and for his career. But the last 6 games, and Cade has averaged about 25 points, shot 44% from the floor, 44% from three, which is awesome. And I saw the thing. I'm sure you saw it if you watched the telecast tonight. That he is scored in the first 20 games, scored or assisted on the most points since Grant Hill. And again, Grant Hill was a forward, but he played like a point, and he either scored or distributed the ball. His teams weren't that good. I guess our team's not that good either. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the big guys that have really had the roller coaster ride recently are Jaden Ivey, who's had it all year, and now Ausar Thompson. So I got a big kick. If you want to listen to a good podcast about the NBA, Bill Simmons is really great. And I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, but he has an awesome podcast. He's followed the league closely for lots of years. He knows every player inside and out for the last 30 years or more. So again, you can agree guys are right and guys are wrong. I'm right and I'm wrong about things. We all have different opinions, and things can change all the time. But it was interesting. He came on, and you can go to YouTube and see it, where he says that Ausar is his favorite rookie that's come along in a long time, and just how much he loves watching him play. And so that's it's real interesting. And I did this comparison back in the summer, and so I guess Bill Simmons must be right, because I said the player he reminded me most of was Scottie Pippen. And if you watch Scottie Pippen, he was about the same size, great athlete, same way, can pass, good. Pippen especially as he got going, was a better passer. But Ausar, I think, can become that. The three-point shot, though, was not the big deal it was back then. NBA teams did not sag just like they're doing now. Like, again, teams don't guard Ausar. They're way off him. Teams don't guard Stu. They're way off him. Teams don't guard Killian. They're sagging in to helping. They're inviting those guys to shoot threes. And that, again, is what causes our problems with spacing. So, anyway, Ausar, he started all year. He's playing 37 minutes all year. He's making all these things where he's the best rim protector, one of the best rim protectors, best rim protector of all the NBA players. He's, of the guys that are 6'6" or 6'7" or shorter, he's the best rebounder, and he has all these stats that are just amazing. And my thing is, he's been scoring. If you look at his last 8 games, maybe his field goal percentage not on threes but on twos. But he's a lot of those games he was 0 for 1 on threes. So it's just hard for him. And what is our goal? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to develop these young guys to have a great team in the near future, or are we, again, like I said, trying to just win one game or have a winning season? Or not a winning season. We're not trying to have a winning season. That's obvious. But are we just trying to win 10 games more? Or I don't know. I just don't know what it is. What's the plan? And it seems to me that we need to have a better plan. And Monty is in a great shape. He can play those young guys and develop them. And I think we can win with those guys if we mix the right guys with them. That's the key, is having the right mix of players. It's not just starting young guys or veteran guys, but I just think if we put, again, I'm going to tell you my lineup for the probably 10th time, but I want to see Cade, Ivey, Bojan, and Ausar and Duran. And so whether he ever plays that lineup, Monty said that he's going to change lineups. He's going to change lineups based on maybe the other team's size. And so I think, like, it's like every night, like it shocks me. It shocked me that all of a sudden Ivey wasn't starting. It shocked me that tonight that he was starting. It doesn't necessarily seem like there's a lot of rhyme and reason. Well, Monty said tonight that he wanted, they have those two really good, Garland and Mitchell are great guards, and he thought that Killian and Ivey could chase them over the screens. Excuse me. And chase them over screens. And Cade's size allows you to do that. But like I said, that for those of you that think that Cade is not good, he hasn't proven it. He's had too many turnovers, and that's the sure thing. But he had a really good game tonight. really good, solid game, and we'll get into that. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and go through the box score real quick. So Stu, 30 minutes, 4 for 9, but what did we say we signed him for? If he can and he can play the stretch four, if he can make the three. And again, he was 1 for 5, and I'll keep on saying this, they're wide open. They're sagging way off him. They're not guarding him, so he has uncontested threes. And again, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that the NBA average is like 38% on open threes. I know that's what it was last year, but I don't know what it is this year. But anyway, he's not making threes. He's passing up threes. He's not creating space, but he still was 4 for 9. And so if you take away, he was 3 for 4 on twos. So that's rough. So he was 2 for 2 from the line, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, which is amazing. But then again, 3 turnovers. So again, that is killing us, and I'm going to go through that. So I'll do it right now. So we got these guys that don't handle the ball that much, but turn it over too much. I know you understand this. You guys are smart. I can tell by your comments. But when a guy handles the ball, it's the percentage of times they handle the ball. And like Duran and Ausar are 2 of the worst in the league, but so is Stu. And Stu had 3 turnovers tonight, so even if he had 5 assists and hardly touches the ball, he's turning it over too much. Duran, 2 turnovers tonight in 30 minutes, and that's not great, and that's too many for him to have consistently. And Cade had 1, so I know we're all concerned about him. And when he had 7 against the Knicks, he had that great game. He scored the ball, he shot a high percentage, but 7 turnovers, that just can't happen. If we're going to win games. So even though he handles the ball, more than 10 times as much as those other guys do. So you're going to make more turnovers. So Ivey only had 1 turnover. Killian had 2 turnovers and 3 assists. So again, sometimes it's about turnover to assist ratio. And so you should try to have at least 2 to 1. And so Killian didn't, but he played a good game tonight. So Ausar had 2 turnovers tonight, and he only played 16 minutes. So, and how many times he touched it? That he shot 6 times, and so how many other times did he touch it that he didn't turn it over? So Bojan only had 1 turnover, so that was good. And Sasser had 2 turnovers, and he only played 16 minutes too. So these guys aren't playing very many minutes. They're not touching the ball that much, but all our other guys are turning it over way too much. So we had 16 turnovers, which isn't as ridiculous. I mean, we had 20 at New York, and so we just got to turn it over less. But I think we got to get under 15 or less, and that's just one different. But we just, that third quarter when they went on that run, we turned it over a bunch, and so that's just hard to win when we, do it that many times. When you turn it over, your defense, you can't defend as well. So, and when you're not making shots, you can't set your defense as well. So those things, we've given up a lot of points off turnovers. So that's the easy way. Teams get easy baskets off that. So anyway, Duran, 30 minutes, 8 for 8. But here's what kills us. I mean, there's always things like this. He was 1 for 6. He needs to shoot 75%. So our free throw percentage was bad tonight, but a lot of it was because Duran was 1 for 6. But 12 rebounds. So he's looking more like he did at the very beginning of the season before he hurt his ankle. So that's a real positive sign. And again, I have no problem with the way Monty's playing him, and he's looking good except 2 turnovers. So he had 2 blocks and 17 points. So that's a great night for Duran. He's been strung a couple good together. So Cade had 37 minutes, 8 for 20, which is 40%. That's not good. He's been shooting well, above that lately. He needs to be about 44, 45%, which is what he's done over the last 6 games. So he needs to, shoot better next game. And let's see what happens if let him start with Bogey, and let him happen. And I said this before Monty did it, and it doesn't take a genius and a lot of my listeners commented that they want to see Cade off the ball, and Cade can be on the ball half the time and off the ball half the time, and I think it is a valuable thing. But I still think that Ivey can play point and have Cade be off the ball. So Cade was 3 for 6 on threes, so 50%, 4 for 4 on free throws, and he's been so steady on his free throws. 8 rebounds. He got 7 in the first half, so was looking like he was going to get a triple double. He had like a whole bunch of assists in the first half. He had probably 7 assists in the first half, but he had 11 assists. So he had a truckload of assists last game too. So 23 points. He had the best plus minus. He was plus 13, and I don't know if I really said this before, but plus minus can be deceiving. It just depends sometimes who you're out there with. I mean, it's worth looking at always, and sometimes it does really tell a story, but sometimes it can be misleading. You can have a guy that can go out there and shoot like Duran, can be 8 for 8 and get 12 rebounds and still have a bad plus minus because it depends on who you're out there with at the time and what the other team shoots at during the minutes you're out on the court. But Cade was out there a lot of minutes, 37 minutes, and out of those 37 minutes, we won those minutes by 13. So he had a good game. Ivey, 29 minutes. I still am thinking that's a good number of minutes. I'm not, but I still think he's not getting the usage that he might. He was 2 for 7, 0 for 3 on threes. So I think, we'll see. I hope he gets more minutes, a little bit more, and I hope he gets more opportunities because, again, I think he is really, really talented, and he's shown his percentages over this year and especially over the second half of last year have really improved. So he had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover for Ivey, but like I said, it's hard to be in your head, hard to be in his shoes when like I said, he didn't start, was only playing 20 minutes the first whole bunch of games, and then all of a sudden he got to start, and then he did really good. The team, him and Cade worked really well together. Then all of a sudden he's back on the bench, and then all of a sudden he's playing 12 minutes, and then now he's starting again. So again, I just think that's real challenging for a 21-year-old player, and trying to read the coach's mind and see what does he really think. And Ivey said Monty's really never talked to him about it, just like he never really talked about why he's not playing or why he plays not as much. I don't know, or why he doesn't start. Killian, 33 minutes, so he played the second most minutes on the team, and he had a shot really well, 6 for 12, 6 for 11. So that's way above his normal percentage, and he was 1 for 1 on threes, and he's been shooting really poorly on threes, but he made 1. He's 0 for 1 on free throws, which again is perplexing. He's should be a better free throw shooter than that, but it's only 1 attempt, but he was 1 for 5 last game. But he had 6 rebounds, which is good, 3 assists, and 13 points. So great game for Killian. Killian shot the lights out last game. So, I want Killian to do good. I just not sure, again, like I said, where are we heading? What is our plan? Who are the players that we're going to have in our future? And I guess you want to, if you think Killian's really, really a good player like Monty does, I guess you got to play him because he's going to be a restricted free agent. We got to decide: are we going to give him a bunch of money like we did Stu? Or we got to see. And I guess if the coach loves him and the coach is going to be here for 6 years, then I guess you play him. I don't know. That's not what a lot of you think. That's not what I think, and I can't deny that he had a good last year. He had a good month where he shot more than acceptably well. But like I'm just going to repeat it. He could have a great year this year. He could have a great career. I'm not denying that it's within the realm of possibility. All I know is for 4 years he has been the worst shooter in the league with effective field goal percentage. So that's just a fact. So Bagley, only 7 minutes. So it's really hard for him to get in there and play that few minutes. But he had 3 rebounds, 0 for 1. Livers, 14 minutes. So his minutes went down, 0 for 1. He took 1 3 and missed it. 2 turnovers in 14 minutes and 0 points. And he had the highest minus. He was minus 22 in his 14 minutes out on the floor. So that was, I'm sure he was out there at the end of the third quarter along with Sasser, because Sasser was minus 21. So, they went on a 15-0, I don't know if it was 15-0, but a big run at the end of the quarter after you start the third quarter with your starters and then you sub in the second unit. And so I still would like to see second units staggered more. So Ausar, 16 minutes, and it's real disappointing. He was 2 for 6, 0 for 2 on threes, and I don't know what you do, but he still had 7 rebounds in 16 minutes, and two turnovers. And then what has really killed him was he had 5 fouls. He wasn't getting that. He had a little bit of foul trouble, but he started the whole season. Everybody was going crazy, including Bill Simmons, about him, and all the people I listened to a lot of national podcasts, and they were all just marvel at how many different things that he could do. But now he's playing 16 minutes. But again, tonight it was a little bit partially, I'm sure, a little bit because of foul trouble. But as few minutes as they played him in, last game, he played 12 or 13 minutes. And so you might as well let him foul out because you're not obviously valuing him on the court. So Bojan, I think I mentioned it, 27 minutes. He was only 3 for 10. But the great thing is he was 5 for 6 from the line. And that's, again, he did this all last year. He's so efficient shooting, and from the free throw line, he draws a lot of fouls. But he had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 22 points, and only 1 turnover. Sassers, again, he struggled. Tonight he was 16 minutes only, and it's hard to get in a rhythm when you're only playing 16 minutes. But he was 2 for 5. Last game he was 5 for 7 on threes. Before that, he'd only made like 4 threes in the prior 8 games to that. So he's been inconsistent. So I like him. I think he could be a good part of our future. I think he could come off the bench. At the end of the year, we're going to have Burks, and those guys are going to be free agents. Him and Monty Morris are going to be free agents, so we got to make those decisions. So, and again, Monty's not going to be back until either towards the beginning of January, but probably not. It's going to be the middle or end of January, probably. So we shot pretty good from the field, 47%. They shot 49. We shot only 8 for 30 on threes. And so I think that's going to go up now that Bogey's back, because I think he should take a high number, and his whole career he shot a high percentage. So you look at their team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had Garland and Mitchell and Strus all scored 22, 20, and 22 points, but they all played between 34 and 38 minutes. And on our team, only Cade played that many minutes. But it is, and then here's another weird thing about developing players, and people wishing that we made a mistake drafting Cade. Evan Mobley, and he is great. He is just, I would kill to have Evan Mobley on my team. But he played 36 minutes. He made the first basket of the game for either team right in the first, less than a minute into the game. And then he ended up 2 for 5 and 11 rebounds and 6 points. And he is a great player, but he has Garland and Strus and Allen. And Allen had 19 points. And so they had all these guys that scored heavy points. And we've had hardly anybody other than Cade score in the 20s. But that's going to change. And I think Ivey can be that player if he gets the right enough usage and gets enough minutes. And I know Bojan is, he's a walking bucket, they say. So I'm still, I know I'm not, it's real hard for me to try to talk to you about the anonymous source that I talked to for quite a long time. And again, he's respected and has lots of integrity, and he has great knowledge of the organization. But he didn't go into detail, and he didn't want me to say his name. But when he says there's turmoil and a culture problem, and he felt like it could blow up at any time. And I still wonder if there's a struggle between Monty and Troy. Well, I'm just guessing. I have no reports on that. My one report that I just said, that's a fact that I got from a source that is, again, close at hand. But we'll see what happens the next. Like I said, we have a bunch of days off, and then we're going to play Wednesday. And the Grizzlies have been struggling this year. I think they won the last game that I knew about. They won by quite a bit. But I just want to thank you for listening, and it means the world to me that we're trending up so fast, and it's because of you guys. And please subscribe again if you haven't. Be the reason somebody feels loved and cared for, and go Pistons.